Amore, come ti senti?
Non proprio entusiasta perché ho una...
A million miles away, but I'll try, and I will wait for now and forever, and I will stay for worse or for better. So darling,
Let's try.
take your time, 'cause in the end, I know I'll be yours and you'll be mine.
Hello and welcome back. This episode, I'm starting a bathroom renovation with some homemade furniture and some work in the garden because it feels more like spring than winter here in Tuscany. But first, let me take you up into the snow where I found these antique pieces I'll be using in this project. In the last week of the year, we went up to visit my friends who live in Trentino in the north of Italy. Guido and I talked a lot about our plans for this year. Last year was so beautiful, but so exhausting, commuting 2 hours back and forth every single week of 2021 between this farmhouse and our little apartment where we live just outside of Florence. But as I'm sure many of you have found with your own life plans, what feels impossible at the end of the year when you're burnt out starts to seem manageable if you're able to just take a week off. I did take 1 week of holiday and then a week to repair camera equipment, fight YouTube on copyright issues, deal with harassment issues, and try to set up my company and navigate my taxes in Italy, which is no easy task in a country so wonderfully historic, where certainly no one yet knows how to classify a digital filmmaker. But even with the commute, there's something about this hill, this farmhouse, this property. As we planted cherry and almond trees, all the fatigue at living out of a suitcase, the work stress, the frustration at the builders for the chicken coop who still aren't back on site working, faded away, and we agreed yet again to try to make this work as our home. In a little snow-covered village in Trentino, I found this place selling antiques, and I bought a 198-year-old bell for our front door, mainly because when my parents are over in their cottage or out working in the garden or Guido's out in the field pruning olive trees, I always struggle to let everyone know that lunch or dinner is ready because we don't check our phones often. So this can be heard all over the property. And then I found these lights with vintage glass, which I had been looking for a while in my plan to renovate the bathroom in the main house. You might remember this bathroom from when I filmed a lip-sync parody for Cleaning with More Joy during quarantine. I've been dying to change the colour and make it feel a bit more cozy for when we have candlelit baths at the end of a long day working in the garden or cooking or chopping firewood, because we still haven't got heating in this house other than fireplaces. Guido doesn't really get excited about renovations, but he does give me a lot of trust and freedom. He just says, if you pay for it and do all the work, you can do whatever you like. But then in the end, he always loves what I do. He says he just struggles to imagine how a room could look until he sees it. So while he was away in Florence, I started work with the help of my father. Getting an electrician or any Italian tradesman to come to the house when they say they will is a challenge here, and it's also very expensive. So my father, who has always built all the houses and boats we lived in growing up, can generally work out just about anything. The first mission was to replace this mirror, which doesn't really feel very warm or inviting. It has a glass shelf, which is useful, but I find glass as a material to be quite cold and modern, and I wanted something more in harmony with the rest of the farmhouse. Test? No.
Oh, is that a bad bulb?
Maybe that's the not working bulb.
Ah. Oh, please work. Please work. Hey!
Yay!
Okay.
So we rewired the wall lights and measured up hooks for this gorgeous timber mirror, which is bigger, so will also let a lot more light in from the window it faces.
How's it going on your side?
In.
Good.
Amazing. 9 centimeters up.
Yeah? Okay, we'll make them both 9.
9. Oh, how far out? I guess they're both touching, aren't they? So.
Yeah.
In a dream world, I would replace the sink and the toilet and bidet, but it was a bit out of my budget, so I just decided to replace the sink, which is a sort of off-white grey ceramic and not very elegant. I wanted a similar style with the column, but in a brighter, creamier ceramic with retro taps and prettier curves.
No, undo the bolt, then open the
Yeah, I can just do it with my fingers.
Oh, good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Wow.
Yes.
Oh. Originally, I thought about retiling, something rustic and beautiful like these tiles, but hand-painted tiles cost so much, not to mention the mess I would make ripping up the original tiles. So, as I did in our kitchen in our apartment in Florence and in the bathroom, I'm planning to paint these and stencil a design over the top. To paint on tile, you need to use a 2-part paint, which none of the hardware stores in the countryside here sell. So I had to send Guido a million references, and he went into the big paint store in Florence to order the paint. This was quite a challenge, but at least we were both agreed on the colour. We both wanted green. As you can imagine, however, there are calm, soothing, elegant greens, and then there are putrid hospital greens or greens from the 70s, which is not really my taste. I was aiming for the green we see so often around the property here, olive leaves, which we have plenty of, and sage. There's lots of sage growing, particularly in the church garden, which my parents and I spent 2 days pruning and tidying up. The first crucial step when painting tiles is to use a heavy-duty product to degrease the surface so they are absolutely clean and smooth. If you've watched any of my DIY videos before or my cooking videos, you'll know I really relish this kind of work. However, it is amazing how even after this seemingly simple task in a small space, you really feel your whole body aching. It's a great workout. We've been trying to run every morning, or rather, I've been trying to motivate Guido to come running with me in the mornings because his doctor told him he has high blood pressure and needs to lose 10 kilos.
So I went to the doctor and he told me that I should lose 10 kilos in the next 9 months because I have high blood pressure. So I should do from 3 to 6 hours of exercise weekly. So I said to Kylie, okay, let's do a video about this or a series of videos so I will be accountable for it and feel very ashamed if in 3 months.
I'm not ashamed of what it inspired.
No, ashamed. I'm
Motivated.
Let's try with the punishment theory. So very ashamed if I wouldn't succeed. So yeah, this is what's happening.
There's no shame. There's only
Yes, there's shame in setting a goal. But if it's just between you and yourself, you can just say, okay, fine, I'll just do it next month. But if there's a schedule that is, let's say, filmed or whatever, written down and fixed to you, then you're accountable, and
I know he doesn't look overweight. I think he looks amazing, but he said he wants me to do a whole ongoing documentation of this aim to drink less alcohol and exercise more so that he is accountable by you guys seeing his progress and forced to keep to his goals. Would this be of interest to you? I don't know. Is anyone out there trying to get fit or lose weight or lower their alcohol intake or deal with high blood pressure? Perhaps I could also include some of my healthy recipes that I prepare for Guido in case you need some ideas.
You always think, well, I always think, oh, it's not a very big space, it's kind of small, I'm sure I can do this in no time. And then, as soon as you start covering every surface, you realize, it's not that small. Ah. Grease be gone!
Now I'm just taping all the edges with masking tape. I'm not taping above the tile because I think I should repaint the ceiling and the door and the window frame. They're really patchy and I love how a fresh coat of white can really brighten a room. Now with the walls and floor cleaned, I can start with the transparent primer, which is needed so that the coloured paint can grip onto the tile.
Oh, wow.
Once you start this process, you have to block out about 2 or 3 days. In my case, 4, because I'm also doing stenciling, because you have to wait 24 hours, but no more than 48 hours between each coat.
I'm so excited.
So the process is the degreaser, wait 2 hours, primer, wait 24 hours, first coat of green, which needs to be completed within 2 hours of mixing the hardener into the colour, then wait 24 hours for it to dry, then a second coat of green again in 2 hours, then another 24-hour wait. Then I'm planning to stencil in a creamy white and dark green, and this must happen within 24 hours and then be left to dry for another day. I'm still undecided as to what I should stencil. Here are the options. I love wall murals. I love chinoiserie. Do you remember my old apartment in Florence that had the living room completely frescoed? These green forest scenes and tones are so common in Italy and particularly in Tuscany. But I could only afford 2 colours because this 2-part tile paint is quite expensive. So I think I'll be able to create more of a print than an actual scene. I am tempted to do olive leaves or vines and roses and rose leaves, which is what we have in abundance in our garden outside. That said, freestyling murals can sometimes look a bit kitsch and messy. What do you think? The other option is to use the same stencil I used on our kitchen, but just do a border along the top row of tiles. Or the third option is to do a border of leaves and stenciled roses. I'm actually starting the stenciling on Friday evening, Saturday morning, so I'll be reading all your comments before I make the final decision.
In the morning, when I see the light, it reminds me of the color in your eyes.
While waiting for the primer to dry, I headed into the garden to start on a rather big job of digging out a pathway down the hill. I just want to have some paved steps that go all the way down here and continue down this slope through the olive trees. When we go walking, it's just easier. And we have the pigsty ruins over there, which we were just talking about over lunch, what we could do with them, but one step at a time. So much to do.
In the darkness, feel you by my side, like a shadow, never too far behind. I reach for you like I reach for the sky, a million miles away, but I'll try. And I will.
You're stuck in the olive tree, hang on.
And I will stay for worse or for better.
The challenge with this is that you really need to perfect the earth so that the brick is completely level and doesn't rock at all. It's harder than it looks. Also, I had to accommodate the occasional olive tree root, which I didn't want to chop.
Cause in the end, I know I'll be yours and you'll be mine.
Buongiorno. What a beautiful day.
A new day and much excitement as I finally start on the green coat of paint.
The primer is dried and it's clear and it appears to be, well, quite smooth. So Guido had to choose the green without me, just sending me little photos of the swatches, and it wasn't ideal, and he's quite nervous as well that it wasn't right, but let's see, how bad could it be, huh? Well, with green it can be bad. It can be that tone that's sort of putrid, like a public toilet colour, but hopefully it's more like an apple green, an olive green, these lovely greens. I mean, there's so many different types of greens, but now I just have to pour 1 kilo. The ratio is 1 kilo of the colour to 200 grams of the hardener. Oh, beautiful. That looks quite nice. I think, can you see it? Look, it's lovely. Oh, I'm so excited. Okay.
I couldn't wait to see the green in this space and see how it changes with the different light during the day and the evening. You really have to be very precise about the ratios and weigh both the colour and the hardener and even the water if you dilute it. any mistake and you could change the colour completely, as we found out last time when Guido did this part for the blue bathroom floor paint and it turned purple. We still laugh about that now. At this point, I'm quite nervous about how long it's going to take me and how soon the paint will start hardening.
I should protect myself from the paint fumes, so I bought this, which I should have been wearing when I was waxing the floors, the terracotta floors, and doing many other jobs. But anyway, I just don't know. Oh, God. Oh, it's quite comfortable. Okay. What do you think?
Nice?
What do you think?
Beautiful.
You like it?
See?
I think it's good, no?
I hope that's the color. I hope that's the color you wanted.
Ma, do you like it?
Yes, yes.
I think it'll be nice once it's mixed in with the white and everything, no?
It's a nice calming color.
See?
Bravissima.
Grazie. Non è facile. But obviously this is just the first coat, so...
Yeah, but it's already very good.
It's not smooth, but I'm just trying to get in all the grouting and...
È già un ottimo risultato così, eh.
Grazie, Maria.
Bravissima.
Potresti spostare la telecamera di favore?
Sorry about my attire. I'm in my same old work pants, which are ripped from gardening and stained from the linseed oil when I was waxing the floors downstairs a couple of months ago. And this is just one of Guido's old shirts.
No! Oh, what the heck? My roll is falling off. Oh gosh.
All done, and now I head off to the hardware to buy materials for the perfect bathroom cabinet that my father is going to build from scratch. Sì, no, ma quelli sembrano di Ikea.
E cosa volevi mettere tu?
Cose come così, no?
Questi.
Sì, belli. I can never find a tall but slim cupboard that will fit into the small spaces of a bathroom, but also has doors so that one's cleaning products and makeup and personal items aren't all on display looking messy. I didn't want something minimalist with no soul from IKEA or Amazon. I wanted something in dark timber to match the mirror, which felt classic with little feet, but also big enough to be really functional.
Lovely little knobs.
Yeah. So these are the little handles, knobs, screws, hinges, just the small nails that so potentially you can put the shelves in like that. You were saying.
Yeah.
Wood glue, masking tape. This is for my stencil. Oh, this is for the two little shelves we could put on either side of the sink.
Yeah.
And this is a wood stain and varnish. Some blades and my father is turning 77 in a week or so, and I decided to buy him this drop saw as a present because he has done so much work on the house in these past months, all with a handsaw. And although my parents are going back to Australia next month, we hope they'll be back very soon.
Down once I cut it, so don't lift it. Just hold it. Yeah, just hold it. Okay. Yeah.
This has to be the most panoramic builder's workshop I've ever seen.
A piece for there, there, and here.
Oh, that's true.
And then a piece for there and a piece for here.
Yeah, that could be easier.
So it's so much easier,
Yeah. So we're just going to taper them in to this size so that there's a bit of detail on the legs.
Yeah.
Sorry, do you mind me filming?
Yeah, not at all.
I just love seeing how yesterday we had a pile of wood and some nails, and then suddenly it takes shape and becomes a beautiful piece of furniture.
Yeah. It's very satisfying work.
It's here! The sink is here! It's so exciting. So here we have sheep manure from the sheep farmer who lives next door. And then we put the cherry trees in with our homemade compost, which my parents have been tending to every day, and it's really lovely and rich and magical. Hopefully it'll make our cherry trees grow. These are going to be the cherry trees with the most beautiful view.
Too deep?
Not? It's wonderful, isn't it, thinking that that's all of our vegetables for the past few months.
It's a trick.
The next day I started on the second coat of paint. You really want to make sure you get into the grouting, otherwise it will annoy you when you lie in the bath and see that some squares show the grouting and some don't. Second coat is drying. And now to decide whether to do a stencil of roses and vines or the other one that I did for the kitchen. And I have to paint the ceiling. When I finally finished the second coat, I had extra green paint left that would just harden in a matter of minutes. So I quickly ran outside and asked my parents if they wanted to speed sand the roof of the Panda, which was really a mess, so I could use the extra paint. Remember I said we wanted to paint the panda when we bought it, but then we looked into how much car paint costs, especially in a vintage green colour like this one, and decided against it. We weren't sure this would actually work, but with the paint just being wasted, we thought we may as well try.
It was too expensive to repaint, but now we have the paint in exactly the colour we wanted.
And it's drying.
But the paint is drying, so we have to do it in 2 minutes.
And that's all we have time for this episode. Please let me know what type of stencil or mural you think I should do over the green, option 1, 2 or 3, using the square stencil or the floral stencils, and a full wall mural or just the border. And if you have any suggestions for the wooden cupboard, let us know because my father is finishing that this weekend. Next Friday, I will show you the final paint result, the homemade cupboard, the installation of the new sink, handmade shelves, some other beautiful details, and a little adventure to find firewood. I hope you'll join me. Thank you to my patrons. You guys allow me to purchase high quality music, to repair my camera equipment, to take a week off work over Christmas, to buy phone credit each week to upload because the Wi-Fi isn't strong enough here in the countryside to handle uploading, so I have to tether to my phone for 8 hours every Friday night. You allow me to buy hard drives, you allow me to buy ingredients for recipe videos, but mostly you inspire me to keep following my creativity and curiosity no matter what YouTube's algorithm does. So this means I don't have to change myself for YouTube's trends or sponsors or do collab videos that are just about cross-promotion and not about following my creativity. Thank you so much for this freedom. It means so much to me. If you would like to subscribe, that would be so kind of you. See you all next week. Alla prossima.
So darling, take your time, 'cause in the end I know I'll be yours and you'll be mine.